So, you've just stumbled across this video from this bald guy with grey hair on his beard, and you're thinking, what the hell does this dude know about living life in your 20s? Well, it may surprise you, my friend, but once upon a time, 20 years ago, I was in my 20s. Yes, that's right, today I'm in my 40s, but I, just like you, stumbled through my decade of living in my 20s, not really knowing what to do, kind of wishing that I had some sort of instruction book or ultimate guide to living life as a man in your 20s. Because frankly, there is not a lot of help out there for men. There's a ton of support and guidance for women, but men kind of get left alone to our own devices to try and figure things out. And unfortunately, unless you have a very strong male role model, or you take it upon yourself to figure things out for yourself, you probably are stumbling around, not really sure what you're doing and trying to figure things out for yourself. Hello, my friend, my name is Daniel Midson-Short, and in this video, I am going to share six life lessons about life in your 20s as a man. Now, I want to say this is not a video about conquering the world or becoming a millionaire or becoming a ladies' man pickup artist. This is a video about being a genuine person and the life that you live in your 20s. So if you're looking for those kind of videos, go and search somewhere else. There's a ton of them on YouTube, but I wanted to make something that is genuine, that is real, that talks to you about the things that happen to you as a man in your 20s that you have to live with, that you have to overcome, and you have to grow to understand and develop and become part of your life. Now, as I often say in my videos, I am not a psychologist or a therapist. I'm not an expert on sociology. I am just a guy like you who has lived his life in a forward-moving directions. I've had to stumble through and make mistakes and screw up and learn lessons and redeem myself time and time again. And now in my 40s, I have a little bit more perspective of the past, and I'm able to offer some insights, hopefully that will help you and to help the path that you're going to walk to be a little bit easier along the way. So enough preamble from me, let's get into the 6 lessons that I have learned in my 20s that have helped me to change and grow and develop in my life as a man. Okay, the first thing that changes in your 20s as a man is that you suddenly have pressure to make life decisions. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. People around you, usually older adults, parents, teachers, peers, whatever, are asking you, what are you going to do with your life? What's your plan? How are you going to spend the next decade or couple of decades of your life? And you're probably thinking, I have no idea. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to figure this out. 10 years ago, I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. And now you're asking me to figure everything out and make sense of your life. I'll tell you a little secret. Those people who are asking you that when they were 20 years old, they had no idea what they were doing either. And even though they have figured their life out to some extent now because they're in their 40s or 50s or 60s or whatever, they are forgetting what it's like to be 20 years old. My friend, when I was 20 years old, I had no friggin' idea what I was doing. I was bumbling around from career to career, trying to figure out if I wanted to be a student or I wanted to travel or if I wanted to have a relationship. All these things were so overwhelming that they basically made me stall and not make any choices at all for several years. And you know what? That's totally okay. You can't figure your life out completely in your 20s. But what you can start to do is try different things. And that would be my suggestion. Rather than try to answer that question completely and figure out your entire life purpose for the next 50 years at the age of 20 or 25 or whatever you are, figure out what you want to do for the next year or the next 6 months. Set yourself some sort of target or goal, maybe to learn something, maybe to experience something, maybe to achieve something, whatever it is. Just set yourself a little target, and you will find doing that creates a sense of momentum and a sense of focus, and it tends to shut up those people who are asking you to have your life figured out. The pressure to make life decisions is coming from a good intention. People want you to live a great life for yourself. They want you to succeed and grow and have all the experiences that they've had in their life. But again, they forget what it's like to be 20 years old, and they are not living in the current life and circumstances that you are. Even me, I didn't grow up with the same technology and the same kind of worldview and things like that you have today, but I do remember how difficult it was to make any real decisions in my 20s. So give yourself a break. Pick something small to focus on, tell the people who are asking you what that thing is, and that will shut them up long enough for you to figure things out along the way. Second thing that changes in your 20s as a man is that friends fade away. It's a sad fact of life, but not everyone you were friends with as a child or a teenager in school or in college is going to be your best buddy for life. Even though you all pledge to each other that you'll all be friends forever, the reality is that people just start to fade out of each other's lives. Is this a bad thing? Not necessarily. Sometimes those people aren't a great influence on you. Sometimes they prohibit you from growing as people. And you need to realize that they want to live their life in their way and you want to live your life in your way. If you're watching this video, it's likely that you're looking to improve yourself in some way, hence why you're on YouTube searching for these type of things. And it may be that the people that you have been friends with up until now don't have that same desire in life. So you have to let them fade away. You have to accept that it's a reality of growing older. We have different life priorities, different focuses, and very often the thing that is keeping us connected is the commonality that we had, whether it was school or whether it was living in the same location or whatever it is. Those things, those commonalities, as they start to disappear and you go into different careers and you move to different places and you meet new people, the commonalities start to fade and so do the friendships. And you know what? That's totally okay. It's normal. Because of social media, you can always have a loose connection with those people. You can always find a way to reach out again and stay connected if you want. And who knows, maybe we'll rekindle those connections in 20 or 30 years. I've had that experience myself. But for now, let those friendships fade and look for new experiences, meet new people, open your eyes to the world around you, and you'll find that life gets a lot richer rather than just hanging on to the past and particularly past friendships, which may be limiting who you can become. The third thing that changes in your 20s as a man is that people don't take you seriously. The thing that is challenging as living your life in your 20s as a man is that you want to branch out on your own. You want to find ways to make your mark in the world. You want to stand out if you can. And unfortunately, that means getting people to listen to you and take you seriously. For whatever reason in society, we still view people in their 20s as a little bit inexperienced, as a little bit naive, as not really knowing how the world works, right? And you've probably heard those phrases from people who are older than you. I think on one hand, people are doing it because they feel a little bit intimidated by you and the new knowledge and the new ways of thinking that you might bring to work or to a society or things like that. But on the other hand, they do have a point. You don't have the years of wisdom and life experience. You haven't had the setbacks and frustrations that they've had. So you don't have that on your side to be able to make decisions at the same level that they can. I'm not trying to insult you by saying this. I was guilty of it just as much as anyone else. I used to go out preaching and telling everyone how the world should work when I was 20, 25, 28, whatever. And nobody really took me seriously. In a future video, I'll talk about what life is like in your 30s and how people start to take you seriously as you grow into your 30s and particularly mid-30s. But unfortunately, it is a reality of what you deal with right now. People won't take you as seriously as you would have hoped. This means if you're trying to start a business or you're trying to grow in your career or you're trying to do something in your life that is kind of real and serious, people won't value you for it as much as you would like. All you can do is keep working on yourself, improving yourself, and wait out the time for these people to actually see you as someone who is an authority, someone who's respectable, and someone who has the experience in life to talk from a position of authority. The fourth life change that I've noticed is that money, sex, and status become important. Now, you may not have personally started to focus on these things in your life, but they are becoming more important to the people around you, and I promise you at some stage they will become more important to you. Money, sex, and status are a big part of the way the adult world works, and they're things that we have to navigate, and they're things that everybody wants in their life. Unfortunately, as a 20-year-old man, you have no confidence in any of these areas. You don't know what the hell you're doing when it comes to trying to meet someone for dating. You don't know how to build a career, and you don't know how to build your social status in a way that people respect you and you are taken seriously, like I was saying in the last point. These things do become more important over time, and all I'm saying here is to recognize that as part of your life now. As a child and as a teenager, all that really matters is having fun or being cool in a social group, things like that. As you get into your 20s, things like money become important. Sex becomes important because it's a dynamic in relationships with you and the people that you're around, and status becomes important. Be aware of them, acknowledge them, and realize that they're going to help you to become a more evolved person rather than trying to resist them or rolling your eyes at people who are very obsessed with one of these elements in their life. Everyone evolves at a different speed, so wherever you are in terms of your development is okay. If you're not really interested interested in money or dating or trying to build your social status right now, that's okay. It will probably come online for you at a later stage. But just be aware that these things are becoming more important. The friends that you have around you and the people around you value them, and you have to be aware of them as part of your life in your 20s as a man. The fifth thing that changes in your life in your 20s as a man is that your self-sufficiency grows. Now, this is something that you may not have noticed, but it's already happening in the background. You start to pay your own bills, you might get your own home, you have your own car, you have your own phone and computer and all these different things. Your self-sufficiency and your need to pay for these things starts to grow. This is why most people find some sort of employment or start a business or something in their 20s so that they can actually have some money to have this sense of independence and freedom and power in their lives, which moves them away from their parents or their carers or other people who might have paid for their life up until now. The benefit of being self-sufficient is that you get to call the shots. You get to say how you live, what you do with your life. The downside of self-sufficiency is that you have to pay for it. You have to be responsible. And the way I've always thought of it is that freedom equals responsibility. So the more you're willing to take responsibility for your life, the more the freedom in your life will raise alongside it. So it's a good way to think about it. Are you actually beginning to take more responsibility financially, personally, career-wise, with the things in your life? And are you noticing that your freedom is growing as a result? If you are frustrated with the level of freedom you have in your life, you feel like maybe parents or peers or people around you, bosses, whoever, are restricting your freedom, what I would suggest is to look at how much responsibility you are taking in your life. Consider, am I paying for myself? Am I earning my keep? Am I being a valuable person in the place that I work or in my home life or things like that? And if you can answer yes, then I promise you over time, your sense of freedom and control will grow. Self-sufficiency is part of being an adult. It's an exciting thing, and it starts to evolve and grow in different ways in your 20s. And as a man, we are looked upon to be very self-sufficient if we want to have relationships, if we want to have career success, and if we want to function in society. So embrace the idea for self-sufficiency and grow along with the challenges that it presents. And the sixth way that life changes in your 20s is that the world opens up. I saved this one for last because I think it's the most exciting thing that happened to me in my 20s. I remember when I was in my late teens, I felt like my world was about this big. I had my family life, I had my friends, I had the community that I lived in, I had my interests, but the world felt tiny. I was just living in this small, almost little box, and I didn't realize how much the world had to offer me. It wasn't until really in my mid-20s and even my late 20s that I realized that the world is this huge open place. You can travel anywhere, you can experience anything you want, you can meet amazing different people who haven't lived a life that you have lived up until now. And that is a huge benefit of things like self-sufficiency and independence and self-responsibility, that you can choose where you go, you can choose what you do, you can choose what you try. And a big part of that is making mistakes, trying things, testing things, pushing the limits of what you think you can do in your life helps you to experience a more open world. Will you make mistakes along the way? Yes. Will you have to apologize and redeem yourself over time? Absolutely. But the benefit of the world being open to you is very exciting. And I think that's probably the best thing that you will experience in your 20s as you grow from a child to a teenager into a young man, is that you have this freedom and this opportunity to experience a whole new world around you. So what I would say is look at the world as a completely open place. Think of all the things you would love to do, maybe write them down and try them, test them. Push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone and open up the boundaries of what your life's been until now. Is it scary? Yes. Is it exciting? Yes. And hopefully those two things combined will start to represent what your 20s become. Fear and excitement are a big part of life in your 20s as a man. And I think if you embrace both of them and you realize that you're learning and you're growing and you're going to mess up along the way, but you're evolving most of all, that's the most important thing. You know, a couple of years ago, one of my mentors gave me a great phrase. He said, life is a journey and the journey is your home. And I think that really encapsulates your 20s. You are on a journey, my friend. You are finding yourself, you are seeing the world through different eyes, and you are starting to discover your potential and what it means to be a man living in the world today. So adopt that mindset, and I promise you, your 20s will be one of the most rewarding decades of your life. Hopefully this video has been insightful for you. Please leave a like or a comment below sharing your experiences in your 20s, what you're going through, what challenges you're facing, and what lessons you're learning. And if you like what I'm doing here on this channel, please consider subscribing. We'd love to have you with us as part of our community. My name is Daniel Midson-Short. Thank you for watching, and thank you for improving yourself.